guys, here come the dollies. They got fresh sinkers, hot coffee, and the sweetest smile.
Welcome back to the Clubmobile, everybody. We're so happy to have you joining us.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back.
I'm so excited for this episode. Haven't even said a word about it. Haven't even said a word about what we're talking about yet. I'm just jumping right into. I'm so excited, but I am.
This one is very you, though.
I appreciate that. I think.
Yeah.
I think. I appreciate that.
Yeah, this one is very, very you.
We're going to be diving into a topic that I think any woman that has listened to our podcast will appreciate this one. We're going to be talking today about the history of women's cosmetics in World War II, also known as beauty on duty.
Yes, I thought that it was a really fun play on the propaganda that was released during the war for women that were in the armed forces. It was, yes, beauty on duty or beauty in duty, sort of like in the face of.
It works. And propaganda was
really well.
Propaganda was everything during the war. So you had to have it. You had to do it right.
You had to do it correctly, and you had to make it so that obviously a lot of men thought that women going to work and women being enlisted sort of took away from their femininity. And, you know, all this propaganda being pushed out right from the start of the war in England in 1939.
Yeah.
The makeup gave them back this femininity that was supposedly lost by these women having to go to work and taking jobs from men. So it happened on both sides. A lot more money was spent in the US after the US entered the war on cosmetics.
Oh, of course. Of course. And not just for women in the factories either. This was for women that were enlisted in their subsequent branches of the military.
Yep.
There were requirements. And I didn't realize until we started researching that each branch and each division on both sides, British and American, had requirements. They had, like it was part of their, like a kit that they would get when they would get their uniform. They would also get this package, face powder, a lipstick, and a rouge that went with their uniform. Not necessarily their skin, but their uniform.
But the uniform. They were
color matching wasn't a thing during the war.
No, not then. They were provided this kit at boot camp in a lot of instances. And one fact I found really funny, this was a rule with the women Marines, the US women Marines, was that once that kit had been depleted, they had to go to the PX and buy a new one. And it was $2.27. And it was quoted that some women Marines were extremely resourceful and had men buy it for them. There's
as a good woman should.
There was a propaganda poster or something, and it was "Women are so resourceful," and it was a guy handing a woman Marine her little like makeup kit that he had bought for her.
But also $2.20 back then was a lot of money.
Yes.
If I could get a 3-pack of lipstick, blush, and foundation for $2.20 today, I'm not sure it would be worth it because I would probably break out because who is putting that on their skin today? If you're buying, no shade to drugstore makeup, but
I would break out personally.
I would personally probably break out, and it would end up costing me a trip to the dermatologist.
Yes, I'd be looking kind of crispy.
It was a lot of money during the war.
Back then it was, and it comes out of this tiny paycheck.
And they were, good on them for being resourceful and having a guy do it for them. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
As you should.
I completely agree. As you should. I'd love to get into the history of makeup on both sides of the Atlantic.
Let's spin it back a minute and start from the beginning with the history, because you can't get to the fun stuff without the history.
So, of course, England enters the war in 1939. And by December of 1941, conscription of women was made legal. By 1943, 90% of single women worked in factories, on the land, or in the armed forces. So you've got all of these women who are now free to work, and a lot of men and a lot of elders are complaining that these women are having their femininity stripped from them because they see all these types of work as men's work. They see it as the job of the patriarchal figure in the family to be able to do it. But of course,
there was no choice. They
there
had
was
to.
no choice.
And it was a large, I mean, 64,000 women.
Yes, 64,000 women were in
Right.
the
So
three women's military branches, the Wrens, the WAF, and the ATS.
all of these women were encouraged to wear makeup. And the women working in factories on the land in the British home front, they were advised maybe perhaps muted colors and styles. Whereas if you were in the armed forces, you were allowed to wear makeup the women were allowed to wear makeup as they pleased, so long as it was their commander's rules.
And of course, a lot of their commanders were men in a lot of cases. A lot of commanders,
which
in
means
the
that these men
were...
seldom objected to makeup, because who didn't love a beautifully made up woman during the war, during any time, but especially during the war.
Yes, especially during the war. A lot of the women not in the armed forces, those on the home front that worked in factories or they were in the land army, they were recommended like muted colors so things wouldn't run and that they wouldn't look, garish, or they wouldn't look unkempt from sweating. One really cool thing I found while we were researching was they made a specific makeup for land girls. It was called Miner's Liquid Makeup. And it was, I guess, sweat proof, and I guess it was, I don't know, work proof.
Based on what we read, I would say it was probably a little more durable. I don't know if it would be sweat proof or work proof, but probably a little bit more durable. I love the propaganda advertisement that goes along with the Miner's Liquid Makeup. I'll try to read this as if I was a propaganda radio gal from the 40s. I'm going to do my best here, but tractors are tricky till you get the hang of them. And this pretty land girl has just bowled over a wall, but she won't get into trouble with the instructor because she's bowled him over too, in a different sense. You see, she's wise. She uses Miner's Liquid Makeup, the amazing complete wartime makeup in a bottle. You just smooth it on in the morning and it stays matte, fragrant, delicately tinted, whatever happens. Heat, cold, wind, rain, air raids, kisses. Nothing can disturb this miracle makeup.
It really tickled me.
It does. It really does.
When I found that, I was screaming. I loved it. I love
looking
at all these
so
posters,
adorable, because you could picture this pretty made up girl. She's got her hair up in a scarf, probably, and she's got very subdued makeup, and she's driving a tractor. And don't worry about that wall because your instructor thinks you're pretty.
Exactly. Don't worry about anything because he thinks that you're very sweet looking. Don't worry about it. There was also specific makeup made for British women who were in the armed forces. And again, it was very similar to the women Marines getting Victory Red or Montezuma Red, where makeup was made to complement certain uniforms.
Mm-hmm.
There was a cosmetics company called Yardley's, and they planned a specific color series that worked with all of the uniforms, the Wren uniform, the WAF uniform, and the ATS uniform. For all blues, they suggested a natural rose lipstick, and that cost 3 shillings. A cream rouge, that cost just over 2 shillings. With English peach or rose Rachel complexion powder, that was just over 3 shillings. With khaki, vivid rouge, and lipstick, and deep peach powder, they're more flattering. They didn't have red lipstick because I believe it looked too garish. We love that word in England, garish. We can't look garish.
They'd hate to see me coming.
Burnt sugar was the lipstick, and nail varnish, Vogue for girls. For those who look chic in navy blue, the special Stop Red tint is the rage. Stop like red. Whilst the young women of the WAF find themselves catered for with the latest red wood colour, which has the advantage of toning admirably with Air Force blue while also remaining inconspicuous.
Complements the man's uniform, but keeps her looking inconspicuous. Every time we get into something where it's like, yes, right? Women at the front,
Yeah.
women this,
Woo!
that. You get to a point where it's like, it complimented the men, and she could still stand next to him and not be the center of attention.
Yeah.
But what if she wants to be the center of attention?
Well,
And
yeah, let
rightfully
her.
so. Let her.
And again, it's the narrative of she must remain inconspicuous because she is still a
Yes.
woman. Therefore, she does not need to be looked at or seen. Let me encourage her to wear makeup so that she can be seen. How was that making sense to anybody? How was that like, oh, yeah, this makes complete sense?
Because a well-kept wife, right, reflected well on her husband.
And her home. Exactly.
And her home. It goes back to, we were just talking about this earlier this morning. You ever see those cartoons from Looney Tunes?
Yeah.
Follow where I'm going here.
Okay.
Where it's, the model house, the model wife, or
yes,
she goes into the beauty salon and she's looking a little haggard, right? Maybe she's a little frumpy looking. She's got a couple of rolls and no makeup. And she sits
she's
in
always wearing glasses.
always wearing glasses, right? And she's dragging her handbag on the floor. And they put her in the chair, and it's like she gets attacked with powder, and all they do is take her glasses off and cut her hair. But then they squeeze her into this dress and they pull the laces on the corset, and suddenly she's the model wife. She's the model housewife. And the model wife always gets up before her husband, puts her makeup on before he gets out of bed, because heaven forbid he sees her unkempt.
Real quick, could you imagine scrubbing the floor in that tight corset they'd always put this poor woman in?
No.
Because that was what was expected of her.
I don't want to scrub the floor now.
I don't want to scrub the floor.
I do. I clean my house. I wash my floors.
We have to.
But my God, when it's like the day to get down into like cleaning, deep cleaning, it's leggings all day.
And even then, I'm so comfy, I still don't want to do it. So I can barely imagine being in a tight dress all hoiked in like that.
You'd have to do that thing where, like, when you spill something on the floor and like you throw a paper towel down on the floor and you like kind of like push the paper towel around with your foot. That's kind of what it would have to be.
Or when you get ice out the freezer and you drop it and you just kick it under the fridge.
Kick it under the fridge because, it'll melt and then it'll dry up because the motor under the fridge is hot.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's what I would do if I had to wear one of those tight corsets, or like, clean my house all like done up like that. I would do the paper towel push around with my foot.
And then I would be really yucky and pick up the paper towel with my foot.
Or like housekeepers weren't really, unless you were of the upper class. You didn't have a housekeeper. You didn't have somebody who came to clean your house.
Even then,
you had to do it yourself.
It didn't happen.
And imagine living in Britain. Imagine living in England, living in Britain during the time of the Blitz, where like your house is just consistently covered in dust, no matter what.
And they were still expected to be up, like keeping up with the house and making sure.
My God, I clean my apartment. I dust. I look at everything. I go, it's sparkly clean. I get so much natural light in this house that the next morning I wake up and I'm like, son of a bitch.
It's dusty all the time.
There's dust again.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of women were spending way more on makeup in both England and in the USA, despite rationing. Especially here, lipstick became such a commodity of the American femininity that the federal government quickly rescinded its wartime materials rationing restrictions on cosmetics in order to encourage the use of makeup. And I believe England did the same. They never rationed makeup. They never rationed cosmetics.
No, I love that America had this kind of slogan that a lipsticked American was a good American, that to look unattractive these days is downright morale breaking and should be considered treason. That's a direct quote.
Yes, I didn't find out who it was by, but I saw it a bunch of times while doing research.
If anybody knows who said that, please,
please let us know.
Drop us a line. Let us know. I'd love to know who it was that said that. Because it really is. I mean, you think about it now, it's like, oh my God, should be considered treason. They should see what I look like when I leave my house on Sundays. But also during the war, yeah, I get it. Morale was everything, especially in the States with all these
Yeah.
women whose husbands were overseas. You know, you
Yes,
don't know where
exactly.
he is. You don't know if he's alive. You're not getting mail frequently. You're not, obviously, there's no smartphones. You can't call and just be like, send him a text and be like, are you alive? Are you okay? You
Yeah,
couldn't do
you're
that.
relying on the mail.
So any kind of oomph to your morale, yeah,
Yeah.
pass it over,
They
right?
the government even recommended that women wear brighter lipstick on dull days so as to cheer up everyone around them. And I think that began, especially in England during the days of the Blitz, where
Mm,
people were still expected to leave their house and they were encouraged to wear a brighter lipstick
mm.
in order to break through the darkness and the fog. And apparently it boosted morale and women keeping themselves together, I think sort of put on this face of patriotism, and it kept spirits
Yeah.
up for those also on the home front.
Yeah, it helped make
Um,
life feel as normal as possible in the face of
yeah.
something really dark.
And I think again it stems from, the things we read about other women who were volunteering or enlisted, like never let them see you cry,
Yeah.
always be put together. Again, it's given to the women to make sure that morale is kept, and it's
Hmm.
left to the women to make sure that everything is together and everything is clean and everything
Yeah.
is in its place. So despite the woman now having to work and to take care of a house and potentially take care of children while her husband is away, she's now expected to boost everybody else's morale, not just in her house. It's
Right. Not just in
everyone.
her own.
Yeah. And it goes back to us always saying that women were under this incessant pressure constantly. They were trying to please their family, and now they're trying to, through just stepping out of the house, please everybody else they came into contact with. That must have been such a chore to
Yeah.
constantly be on, to constantly, you're in charge, you're making everybody else happy.
And then there was the women who were not just in the factories. They were the women who served,
Yeah.
the American
Yep.
women who served, and they were strongly encouraged to wear makeup. And this was to counteract the opinion that they were masculine, that they weren't
Yes.
feminine, that they were undesirable now to men.
Mm.
So if they were zhuzhed up and kind of really pulled together in their uniform, you could, you, there was no doubt, that's a lady.
Yeah, real quick, going back to the women working in the factories on both sides, these
Mm.
women were encouraged to have shorter hair so as not to get their hair caught in the
Yes,
machines
they
if they
were.
weren't wearing
So
a,
they're already chopping away at some of their
yeah,
femininity.
femininity. So they would wear a scarf on their head, obviously, if they had long hair. A lot of other women didn't want to bother with all that. They wanted to essentially roll out of bed and get to work. I do not
Right.
blame them one bit. They
No.
didn't want to spend their free time, you know, setting their hair and putting a scarf on for bed and what have
Right.
you. They just
There were
chucked
no
it.
claw clips, there were no scrunchies. You had a couple of
Yeah.
bobby pins and some finger rolls, and
Mm-hmm.
you would either be on your way or you'd put your hair up in a scarf, the famous, the red polka dot scarf, the rosy scarf.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That was it. And it's funny,
And a
you
lot of
can't really
women didn't.
tell in the photo of like, in the rosy photo, you can't tell
Mhm.
whether or not her hair is short or not. It's all tucked up
Yeah,
there under her scarf.
exactly. But that was one of the reasons why they were so encouraged to wear makeup and to buy
Hmm.
makeup, because the women with shorter cropped hair were then being seen as more masculine.
Yeah.
And the makeup gave them this air of femininity. So it would show that, oh, yes, she is still a lady, despite the fact she's building B-17s.
Right.
The women who served were strongly encouraged to wear makeup to counteract this newfound theory that they were now undesirable and manly. A lot of
Especially
people
because
were,
these women that served, cosmetics was their way of kind of expressing themselves because now you're in uniform, now you're enlisted.
mm-hmm,
Your personal civilian clothes, your high heels, no loose wavy hair, your jewelry,
yep,
it all had to be suppressed in
yeah,
favor of functionality. So, lipstick doesn't and rouge doesn't hinder your functionality. So
exactly. Whereas big high heels and a dress would.
And they encouraged it to be liberally applied. And especially during an era when smoking was a part of sophisticated adulthood, that's why I think people say, like, red lipstick around the filter of a cigarette.
Apparently the men loved it.
The men loved it. They loved it.
The thing of the time, yeah. That was the thing, and apparently it was
if your gal kind of would take your cigarette from you and take a drag of it and leave her red lipstick on it and hand it back to you, it was a form of flirting almost too. Like,
it's like, again, in Looney Tunes where the wolf has the big eyes and he's like awooga. That's exactly what it is. And
yes,
they've also found this wild theory while going through stuff for the episode, was that the thickly applied lipstick guarded women's delicate lips from the smoke vapors. So people truly believe that a thickly applied red lipstick would protect women from
and that it gave a sexy polish to the actual cigarette.
It's just messy.
It's just messy.
Makes a mess, guys.
Kids, don't smoke.
Yeah, please don't do that. No, thank you.
No. It's not like it used to be.
No. I found it so funny that they genuinely put out like propaganda to say that you can smoke because if you're wearing lipstick, it's not going to hurt you. It's not going to tell you. It's not going to, mess up your health for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
It's not going to affect you in
You're fine.
Way.
You're good.
You're completely
You'll
fine.
live forever.
The fact that it was seen as sophisticated, and I think it was the era,
And it was the era. I mean, you look through any old Life magazine, you're going to see multiple ads for Lucky Strikes, for Chesterfields.
Yeah.
I mean, there's an old Christmas ad for Chesterfields that, funny enough, my brother puts out in his house at Christmas, just because it's, it's vintage and it's fun.
Cute, yeah.
It's cute. We're not smokers, but he puts it out as part of his Christmas decor. And it's, about how if you buy your husband Chesterfields, you're buying him like the best gift ever. The man who smokes Chesterfields, that a man who smokes Chesterfields is a man who knows what's what. And it's
I love that.
It's like back in the late 80s and the 90s, there'd be billboards for Newports and Marlboro Red. There was the Marlboro Red cowboy.
Yeah.
Billboards for Newports. I don't know. You were a kid in England in the 90s.
Yeah, we didn't have that.
We had that here.
Kinds of.
I'd be on, we'd be in the car, and now remember, I'm just, for argument's sake here, I am older than Winnie. So
not by that much.
Not by that much, but when you were born, I was already 6 years old.
5, 6,
6. 95, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 89.
Yep.
There you go, guys.
There you go.
Now you know. Now you do if you do the math, now you know.
It's me more. It's
I am not. Don't you dare. You stop that right now.
Okay, Grandma, let's get you to bed.
I remember being in the car with my parents, and we'd be on the highway in Brooklyn, and there'd be billboards for Newports.
For cigarettes.
Yeah, for Newports. There was a whole commercial. There were commercials for Newports, and it was always like people on spring break in these wildly bright bathing suits playing volleyball, and
God.
Newports were cool. And then there was the Marlboro cowboy. The Marlboro Red cowboy.
I need to find this is
fun. This was life in the States in the 90s, the 80s and 90s. Advertisements, full-blown billboard advertisements for cigarettes. And the Surgeon General's warning would be like microscopic.
Yeah, the tiny writing.
Microscopic. Camels too.
Did the camel have a camel in it?
And it was a camel. Okay.
It's the camel smoking.
It was a camel. Please. There were multiple. There was, and the camel was always suave, right? The camel was this like debonair. One of them is he's in a hot tub and he's wearing sunglasses and he's got a cigarette in his mouth and he's got a pack of Camels next to him on the hot tub and he's drinking a beer. There's another one
Oh
where he's in a tuxedo
gosh.
and he's offering you a cigarette and it says
Oh,
smooth character and he's got a cigarette in his mouth. Another where he's on like Hollywood Boulevard, he's wearing a leather jacket and he's offering you a cigarette. And then there's one
jeez.
where it looks like Miami Vice. And he's got like the bright t-shirt with the jacket and he's smoking a Camel and there's an 80s babe on the hood of a red convertible.
Wow.
This
Yeah, we
was,
never.
his name was Joe Camel.
Joe Camel. Yeah, we never had that. It was like to the point where I thought only one brand of cigarettes existed, like the brand that my grandma used to smoke. So when I was older and I saw all of these choices, I say choices, things I shouldn't touch, I was like,
That we both
wow, there's more
inevitably
than
did
one
at some point
thing.
in our lives. Yeah.
Yeah,
And funny enough,
unfortunately.
I did at one point smoke Camels.
You
But there
were
was a
you were
brand, there
influenced.
was a brand of Camels when I was in college called Camel Crush.
I used to
And you
smoke those.
could smoke it regular or you could
Crush.
as if
Oh,
cigarettes weren't bad enough for you already, you could crush the fiberglass menthol ball in the filter.
I
Okay?
do half and half. I do half regular.
So
Crush
as
the
if you weren't
ball.
already inhaling garbage, let's inhale the
Here,
fiberglass. Here, have
have
some
some
fiberglass.
microplastics.
But if I
Have
put
some
lipstick on,
microplastics,
but the
gang.
1940s told me if I put lipstick on, they're good for me.
I think as well there was a lot of different ingredients in comparison to then and now. Like they
Yeah,
weren't
it was
as
probably
bad
like
for you.
just tobacco.
It was just tobacco and the filter in the paper.
All of a
Whereas
sudden, they
now,
became filled with
tar.
carcinogens and tar and chemicals. And this is why you find a lot of people that still smoke will like roll their own cigarettes. They will buy a bag of
Yeah.
loose tobacco and papers and
Yeah.
roll their own cigarettes. Not that that's any better for you. Tobacco will still cause
No,
mouth
it's not.
cancer,
Don't do
but
it.
at least, hate to say at least they are eliminating
You kind of know what's
all
going
the
in.
excess garbage.
Yeah.
But still,
Still,
it's not good for you. None of it is good for you.
none
None of
of
it's
it,
good
and
for
it
you.
wasn't good. It wasn't good for you then. It's not good for you now. But yes,
No.
apparently this red lipstick that had been created for women, specifically in uniform, was going to be the thing to stop you from all these health issues
Yeah.
later down the line.
Mm.
And speaking of the red lipstick that was created specifically for
Oh, it's my
enlisted women,
favorite. This is my
it's your time
favorite
to shine.
shade. It's my time to shine. It's my favorite shade in the world. Um,
It is beautiful. So, makeup artist Elizabeth Arden, who was also a women's activist, she followed the British idea of the Yardley's cosmetics that we mentioned
mm,
earlier, of creating a lipstick and a makeup set that matched uniforms. So, Elizabeth Arden was approached by Lieutenant Colonel Ruth Streeter, who was the director of the US MCWR, which was the Women's Reserve of the Marines. Um, Lieutenant Colonel Streeter knew that women Marines were unique and she wanted them to fit this attitude that she had made for them. It was called Montezuma Red originally. So the shade made for the women Marines was Montezuma Red, and it was made to match their uniform accents for them, not for
yes,
the men's uniform.
they had those olive green uniforms with the
Yeah,
red, think Lena Basilone in the Pacific
yeah, it
with
matched
the
it
red piping.
perfectly.
Yes. And they were gorgeous.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And I love how, even though we mentioned earlier that it was to fit the men's uniform with the woman next to him, this was made for
Strictly for the
women.
woman.
Yes. Um, so in turn, they were then provided a standard kit that included cream rouge, nail polish, and face powder, and the lipstick that coordinated with their uniforms.
I love the idea of the
Um,
lipstick matching the nail polish. There's something very
yes,
clean and chic. Even today, like I love a clean red manicure.
yes,
I do it a lot.
to
When
match
he
the
knows
lip.
this, I
It's
do
very
this a
cute.
lot.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like
and I
every
get a
single time you go,
color, it's funny enough, I get a color that is probably as close to the Montezuma red or
yeah.
what people now call it victory red
Hmm.
as you can get. And it's a color by OPI. It's called Big Apple Red. And it
I
is
find it so funny
red.
that every single time you go, you send me pictures of these swatches or these shades, and they're all not the red that you pick. And which one should I go for? And I'm like, you know what I'm gonna say. Keep
Right.
going with
And at the time of this recording, I am going for a manicure later today. And I know that I'm not going to get a red now simply because I will be going again on Valentine's Day and I'll probably get a red for Valentine's Day.
Nail then. Exactly.
So, and every time I go, it's so funny. Every time I go and I pick a red, the girl that does my nails, she goes, "You always pick red."
Yes, because it's my trademark. That's so cute though.
I do.
I love that.
But no, I always get the same. And Victory Red is like, oh, just fell in love with it the first time I saw it. I did. I actually have two or three tubes of it in my makeup kit.
It doesn't suit me. It's too bright on me, which I am really upset about. And it's one of my beefs with my genetic makeup.
I apologize.
Is that it's too bright for me and it washes me out and it makes me so upset.
So you can wear pink. I can't.
No, I can't wear pink because pink washes me out even more. I look sickly. So I have to go for like a almost brown, like a maroon, sort of like a purple. I can wear red, but it has to be like a purple undertone.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways you could pick a red these days where it's like people go, is it an orange undertone red or is it a blue red?
Yeah, that's the one. I can't do an orange undertone red because I look sick.
And funny enough,
but I have to have a
Victory
blue.
Red, I believe, is a blue red.
To be fair, the last time I tried it,
but there are different types of blue red.
Different types of blue red. When I tried it, I was
any man that listens to this episode is going to say, I don't know. Ask my wife would know. I don't know. Any of the men who follow us, they're going to go, I don't know. This one's for my wife. I don't know.
Like I tried it when I was 19 or 20, I think, and it just washed me out. But then again, I was still very much wearing mostly black. And
yeah, there was a time. We won't talk about it.
Maybe it'll work now that I've grown older and my skin's aged slightly. And
it's possible.
And maybe that would work. So every recruit was issued their first makeup kit in boot camp, along with instructions on how it should be applied. Speed and efficiency in the application of makeup was demanded of every recruit, and they were expected to take no more than 2 minutes to apply a full face of makeup with the kit that they were provided.
Wow.
So they could only slap it on. And if I slap makeup on in less than 2 minutes, I'd look like Krusty the Clown from The Simpsons.
I can put a basic face together in probably 5 to 7 minutes if I'm not doing anything fantastic. If I'm just kind of like making myself presentable to leave the house. Yeah. I can get away in like 10 minutes tops, probably.
2 minutes is insane. Who thought of that? That's I bet a man thought of that.
I would guarantee you that a man thought of that.
I don't think it would have been Lieutenant Colonel Streeter. I think she would have been like, hey, hold on now, girl. Which was insane. They had 2 minutes to apply the makeup and they had to keep it up during the day as well with the very limited time they had, like bathroom breaks.
Right.
Before going to lunch after PT. They were still expected to wear it.
Doing physical training. Doing physical training in makeup? No.
Look sick. No. Just be drowning in sweat. No, it isn't happening. So I found that very crazy.
Yeah.
But then Montezuma Red became so sought after that Elizabeth Arden sort of went back to the drawing board and she made it into Victory Red, which made it available for everyone on the home front.
Yes, and that is what you can still purchase it today. It's not an Elizabeth Arden shade. It's not made by their company anymore. So there is Besame Cosmetics, and Gabriela Hernandez is the CEO and creator of Besame Cosmetics, and she basically reproduces to the absolute letter historical shades of lipstick, and she even does old-fashioned style like mascara where you buy the tin and you get the brush and you have to like wet the brush a little and scrape it
Oh,
into the tin of mascara and then do your eyes.
amazing.
And you can use the same one with a fine line brush to do your eyeliner or do your brows. It's very
Amazing.
versatile, which is what makeup was in the 40s, right? The
Yeah.
30s and 40s. It was versatile. It was, you can get 3 products out of one. And she has reproduced Victory Red. And just last year, she reproduced it with in a special Victory Red, like with a V for Victory pin for the anniversary
Yes.
of NVJ. You would buy the lipstick and you'd get the Victory pin, and it looked like an old-fashioned V for Victory pin. It was a reproduction of the pins. And because Winnie can't wear Victory Red, I bought myself 2 and then sent her one of the pins because I didn't feel right that she didn't have the pin at least. So what I did was I bought 2 and sent one of the pins to you, which is what a good friend does.
Exactly. Absolutely.
But the fact that there's somebody that has taken care to make sure that the history of cosmetics remains,
it's been maintained so well.
And she maintains it with such dignity, and she maintains it so well. And this is no shade to companies like MAC or anything like that.
No, of course, but
because we all, at this age, we use what works for. I think we're both at the age where I could say I wear what works for my skin, right? But something like Besame that really transports you back in time is just, I think it's incredible.
I love it.
I love it. I really, really love it.
I think it's really sweet that piece of history is being maintained and kept for women, and
that girls now will say, oh, I like this color red, what does it mean?
And it also encourages diving into history and learning about where it came from and how it came to be. Again, it encourages the learning of women's history.
If somebody like your daughter's age, she's almost 8, so she's not far off the cusp of being interested in these things.
Exactly.
And somebody like her is gonna look at it maybe and go, well, what does that mean? Which then
be able to research it,
which then encourages a little rabbit hole, which I think is great.
She gets it from me. She's gonna be jumping in and out of rabbit holes, this kid, which will be fun. Which will be very, very fun for everyone. So yes, Montezuma Red was then made into Victory Red, and it became something that was in the face of patriotism. These women had to obviously be patriotic and maintain their femininity, and it almost became an act of defiance.
It really became to spite Hitler.
Yes, to oppose the Axis powers, it became an act of defiance. But while British and American women were being encouraged to maintain their femininity and buy new cosmetics, because of course millions of women are now going to work. They have more money. They're now being encouraged to maintain their appearance even more. Nazi Germany was giving the opposite instruction.
No, Hitler despised makeup. And it was especially red. Yes, especially red lipstick. He despised it. And it was, women in the States and women in the UK, they were seen as patriotic. And when a woman in Germany did this, it was an act of defiance because it was the opposite of what he considered the Aryan ideal, which was supposed to be a clean, like an unscrubbed face, meaning an unmarred face, pure.
Yeah.
And if you were a woman visiting any one of Hitler's retreats, you were given a list of what you could not do, which included, oh yeah, well, yeah, I mean, think about it. He was insane.
Exactly.
He was insane.
Still.
But this list included avoiding excessive cosmetics, avoid red lipstick, and under no circumstances were women visiting any of Hitler's retreats allowed to paint their nails.
He wanted them plain. He wanted them
simple. Pure. Yes, they were not recommended to wear jewelry, perfume, fur, or trousers. So basically everything that the American and British women were doing was
essentially
A, an act of patriotism, B, an act of morale boosting, C, a big middle finger in Hitler's face.
I couldn't find any records of women in Nazi Germany, opposing Hitler and wearing the red lipstick and wearing trousers, and I couldn't find any any big examples of it. I'm sure it happened, and I hope it did.
I would bet that it did, and I just think that maybe it was very underground, right?
Probably, yeah.
Probably very underground.
And probably
for the sake of staying alive would be.
Yes, of course. When I say I hope it did happen, I mean in the face of defiance and
absolutely
against of everything he believed. Not that I hope it happened so that women could be punished, obviously.
No, I never thought you said it that way.
It was, I hope it happened as like a big middle finger.
Yeah.
To him. So, but yes, he hated red lipstick. There has been articles and stories written of how that was wrong, and it was propaganda made by the Brits to encourage women to keep wearing lipstick, which was then passed on to the US government to release that propaganda, keep wearing your red lipstick because Hitler hates it. So there has been like some things that don't add up. The general consensus was that he did not like makeup.
No.
Therefore, it is safely assumed that he did not like a bright red lip or excessive makeup upon a woman. Another really cool thing I found during researching this was that women would save their nail polish by having scrubbed down nails, where they would only paint their nail to the white of their fingernail.
Oh, like a French tip almost.
Yeah, but they do like the red only to the white of their nail. And it would look like scrubbed down.
From the back to the front. Okay.
Yeah, they wouldn't do the whole nail in order to save some.
That's interesting. And I've seen photos. I've seen photos of that, where they said that this was, to save for rationing purposes, and it would make a manicure last longer.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know if it was just a British thing or like just a land army thing, because of course those women were using their hands quite a bit and digging in the dirt with their nails. They don't want to.
There were no gloves. There were no gloves back then.
So I don't know if it was it was just a them specific thing. But I thought that was a really cool little tidbit, was that they would paint their nails, but they would not paint their nails completely all the way to the top.
Yeah.
Which I found really cool.
That is very cool. Trendy.
Yeah. Yes. Essentially, makeup and cosmetics was done as a morale boost and was done in the face of the war effort. And, no matter where these women worked on either sides of the Atlantic, whether they were enlisted, whether they were in factories, working on the land, they were encouraged to maintain femininity, and they were encouraged to, I think as well, it served themselves while they were looking after everyone else.
Absolutely.
Because I know that I feel better when I have quote unquote put my face on, and I feel slightly more put together.
Yeah, I mean, there was a time when makeup was a defense mechanism for me almost.
Yeah.
But now it's more of a feel good type of thing.
Yes.
I like when I look clean. I don't like to look caked on, but I like when I look clean and just
put together.
Put together, elegant is the word I would go for. And there's a quote we have here that I think is the perfect way to wrap this up, that makeup was not only necessary to the war effort, it was vital. Quote, lipstick is your weapon, and you are the soldiers of the rear.
Yes, I really love that, because despite being left behind at home, for a lot of women, you are still fighting the war from where you are.
Absolutely.
And you looking good and feeling good only helps the war effort. And I love the bit where it says lipstick is your weapon, because as we've discussed, Hitler hated lipstick. And again, an act of defiance and a symbol of confidence and patriotism.
It was a weapon for those who couldn't pick up a weapon and fight.
Yes.
They were able to fight in their own way.
Yes. Even though you're at home, you're still able to fight, and it's just by putting on lipstick.
Absolutely. So grab your lipstick, girls.
Yeah, get it.
Pick up a tube of Victory Red if it's your shade, or whatever your shade is. Grab your lipstick.
If it's not, I have recommendations for those pasty and Irish. I've got a whole list for you. Drop me a line. I'll let you know.
Yes, but put on your lipstick and just go out in the world and feel good. Feel good about yourself.
Yeah, just feel good about yourself. It's not for anybody else. It is just
for you.
For you. This one was so fun. I loved researching
this was great. And we learned something new. I taught you all about Joe Camel.
Yes, you did. And we learned that we actually did smoke the same cigarettes back in the day.
And if you're one of my parents listening to this episode, no, I didn't.
No, you didn't. You never heard this, mother. This is not for your ears. I know that I've encouraged you to listen to this for the past year.
Let's skip this one.
This one was really fun.
I had a great time doing this one. The research was fun. The topic was just great.
This one was so you. Like, old Hollywood is so me. This one was so you. And I'm so glad that we got to do something like this because it was great. I loved it.
Me too.
Good. As you should. It's your shade.
It's my shade. It's my shade. So just remember, girls, wearing red lipstick won't stop cigarettes from killing you.
No.
But it does pair well with a cup of coffee and a fresh sinker. So
correct.
On that note, thank you for joining us, and we will catch you guys next time.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.